I've been listening to you guys for a long time, have a discussion, and I don't want to sound like I know everything and asking some of these questions because I do.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
I definitely sit on a fence, you could say,
Mm, mm,
trying to figure out a lot of things, and I
mm,
kept them on the back burner for a long time. But I figured I'd ask some questions based on things
mm,
I've heard you guys talking about lately,
mm.
with regard to Torah keeping, or at
Yes.
least Jesus has to say in his historical sense.
Mm,
So recently I saw you make a video where you asked, basically, you should listen to Jesus, obey what he said, and not Moses. But I find that contrary to some things Jesus said. The
mm,
question was with regards to Matthew 23.
mm.
Jesus is talking to the Pharisees, or talking to his disciples,
Yeah.
and he tells the Pharisees, he says the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Basically, they're teaching what Moses taught.
Yes.
But he says, don't do what they do, but do what they say.
Hmm.
Could you respond to that and your view that Jesus was telling people that the Torah was passing away at that point?
Well, yes, I would by asking you to deal with the plain texts, which outnumber that one. That's a difficult one. I don't know exactly. But what I do know for sure is that he cleansed all foods in Mark 7. I know that he contradicted that provision about divorce in Deuteronomy 24. That's absolutely clear. Moses said, yes, you can have that concession. But I'm telling you something different. That is a plain contradiction. And the other major point, let me add this, is that in Deuteronomy 18, God is going to raise up a new Moses, not just a copy of Moses, but a new and greater Moses, not therefore a copy of the law of Moses in the letter, which would hit flat out, contradiction with Paul. Jesus says, Moses said, yes, you can have a divorce for whatever that was in Deuteronomy
Okay.
24, but I'm telling you something different. That's a flat out contradiction, and people are very stubborn about not admitting that. So there is a movement from the Torah of Moses to the Torah of Messiah. You surely will allow that Moses wrote that under inspiration from God, and Jesus said, that's now wrong. One of the mistakes the public makes is they don't have access to the good information. So if you're prepared to discuss the katharizo and the masculine participle there in detail, but what I find impossible is that Paul, says that Paul, is not under the Torah of Moses. What does that mean? I'm a Jew, I'm a Christian, I am not under the law. I'm willing to be under the law if it helps to win you, but I, Paul, am not under Torah. What does that mean? What does it mean to the Jews who are under the law? He says, to those who are under Torah, I go as under Torah, though myself, let me be quite clear, I, Paul, the Jew, am not under the Torah. False when somebody said that means not under the penalty of the law, by the way. Don't go under the shadow. You're going to have to keep the whole law. Let me put this text to you. Paul says, if you're going to get physically circumcised, and I hope you're not thinking of doing that religiously, then you're going to have to keep the whole Torah. And I've said to people over the years, what is this whole Torah which you are forbidden to keep?
Well,
But Paul himself says, don't get circumcised. If you do, you're going to have to keep the whole law. I want to ask you flat out, what is this whole law which you mustn't keep for fear of losing your Christianity? I kept the Sabbath for 14 years, and I felt much better when I didn't. I can only give you my own opinion. 14 years of slavery to the Torah in the letter, and it's a huge, huge thing. Look, the Ten Commandments, you're going to keep it? What I had not read was 2 Corinthians. You will know that the Ten Commandments are the letter and not the spirit. They're a bondage. If you are going to go under the letter of the law, you might as well go back under the bondage of Hagar. He's very powerful. As long as you write your commentary on Galatians fully, submit it to people with PhDs and so on. Not that they're always right, but Peter ought to have known better. He had to be rebuked by an apostle. So I'm totally with you on the possibility of them not always having the same point of view. Paul, however, writes a great deal of New Testament stuff, and I take him as my final authority. When faith came, that 430 years later law stopped. And don't you dare go there, because if you do, you're ceasing to be a Christian. These are very serious issues. So the distinction is quite clearly between faith coming, arriving, and whatever that law is ceasing. When you get to be 18 years old, you don't need anybody to accompany you. Don't go back under that Torah. I have no doubt at all that when I gave up Sabbath keeping, I was moving into freedom. I know that. I've lived it. I've now seen 85 years of it. It doesn't make me right, but I've seen and heard a thing or two, and I know a thing or two. And be careful of your descendants, though. Don't inflict the wrong theology on them.